Hey everyone, and welcome to RUBIN'S Mind Lab, where we break down the latest research into what it really means. Ever wonder how your own body might be shaping the way you think about big abstract ideas like freedom, or even just simple things like table? Well, hold on to your hats because this pregnancy study might just give us some fascinating clues. This research dives into something super cool called embodied cognition. Basically, it is the idea that our thoughts aren't just floating around in our heads. Instead, they're deeply connected to our physical experiences, both from the outside world and from inside our own bodies. Think about it even just for a second. When you think of hot, you might also feel a sense of warmth or even a slight burning sensation. Or when you think of heavy, you might feel a slight strain in your muscles. That is embodied cognition in action. Now, scientists have been exploring how our bodies influence how we understand concepts. They found that abstract concepts like love or justice seem to be more linked to our internal feelings and bodily states. This is called interoception. It is how we sense what is going on inside our bodies, like our heartbeat or our breathing. Concrete concepts, on the other hand, like chair or apple, are more linked to what we experience through our external senses, like sight and touch. But here is the big question this study tackled. What happens when our bodies go through really significant dramatic changes? The researchers focused on pregnancy. Pregnancy is a time of massive internal shifts, and they wanted to know if these changes actually alter how women understand and think about concepts, both abstract and concrete. So, how did they study this? They gathered a group of women, about half of whom were pregnant and the other half were not. They then showed these women a list of 40 words, half of them concrete, like dog or spoon, and half of them abstract, like freedom or thought. For each word, the women rated it on a bunch of different scales. They rated how abstract or concrete it felt, how emotional it was, how positive or negative it felt, how much it involved their external senses like sight and touch, how much it involved their internal bodily sensations, that is the interoception part, and also how much their body could interact with the thing the word represented. This last one they called body, object interaction, or BOI. They also asked the women to fill out some questionnaires about their general feelings, anxiety, how aware they are of their bodily sensations. And if they've been feeling down, this was to get a fuller picture of their internal states. First off, the study confirmed what previous research has found. Abstract words tended to be rated as more emotional and more linked to internal bodily feelings, while concrete words were more linked to external senses and physical interactions with objects. This makes sense, right? You can physically interact with a table more easily than you can with honesty. But here is where it gets really interesting. Pregnancy had a big impact. Pregnant women rated abstract concepts as more interoceptive, meaning they felt more connected to their inner bodily sensations when thinking about them. They also rated them as more emotional. And here is a surprising one, they rated them as more concrete than the non-pregnant women did. This is a juicy finding. And it wasn't just abstract concepts. Pregnant women also gave higher body-object interaction scores to concrete concepts. This suggests they were thinking more about how their changing bodies might physically interact with the world around them. Imagine being pregnant and suddenly thinking about reaching for a high shelf or fitting through a narrow doorway feels much more real and immediate. So, the researchers concluded that during pregnancy, women seem to be more attuned to their bodies in different ways depending on the type of word. For concrete words, they focus more on their body's interaction with external things. And for abstract words, they really tuned into their inner bodily signals and emotions. It is like pregnancy fine. Tune their processing of these concepts. This is a big deal because it shows that our understanding of concepts isn't fixed. It can actually change and adapt based on our internal bodily state, like during pregnancy. It tells us that our cognition is truly grounded in our physical experiences. Now, let's touch on how they did the math. They used something called linear mixed effects models. Don't let that scare you. Think of it as a super smart way to analyze data that has layers. For example, each woman has multiple ratings for different words, and you want to see how the group and the word type affect those ratings. These models help account for those different layers like individual differences between women and the properties of the words themselves. They also looked at how pregnancy affected the ratings of abstractness and concreteness themselves. They found that pregnant women rated abstract words as more concrete than non-pregnant women did. This is fascinating. It suggests that the very nature of abstract concepts might feel a bit more grounded or real to them during this time. And remember that emotionality aspect, they found that pregnant women rated abstract concepts as significantly more emotional compared to non-pregnant women. This aligns with the idea that pregnancy heightens an awareness of internal emotional states. The interoception results were pretty striking too. Pregnant women rated abstract concepts as much more interoceptive than non-pregnant women. This means their internal bodily signals were more strongly linked with abstract ideas when they were pregnant. For body-object interaction, they found that pregnant women gave higher scores to concrete concepts. This suggests a heightened awareness of their physical body and its current capabilities or limitations when interacting with the external world. Interestingly, they also looked at how these effects changed as pregnancy progressed. They found that as pregnancy advanced, the differences in how abstract and concrete concepts were rated became even more pronounced. This suggests a gradual shift in how these concepts are processed as the body undergoes continuous changes. One really important point the researchers made is that the pregnant and non-pregnant groups were surprisingly similar in their general personality traits, anxiety levels, and alexithymia, which is difficulty identifying and describing emotions. This is great because it means the differences they observed are likely due to pregnancy itself, not just because pregnant women are generally a different kind of person. They did note that pregnant women reported slightly higher levels of depressive symptoms, but they attributed this partly to the challenging circumstances of data collection during the COVID-19 pandemic, which is a really important contextual point. Now, every study has its limits, and it is good to acknowledge them. This study was cross-sectional, meaning they looked at pregnant women at one point in time, not following them throughout their whole pregnancy. So they can definitively say exactly how these changes unfold over time. Future research could use a within-subject design, tracking the same women over their entire pregnancy to get a clearer picture of this ongoing recalibration. Also, as mentioned, the COVID-19 context is a factor. Future studies in a more neutral setting would help isolate the effects of pregnancy itself from broader pandemic-related stress. Another key area for future research is to combine these subjective ratings with objective physiological measures. For example, measuring actual heart rate variability or other bodily signals while people are thinking about words could provide even more concrete evidence about how interoception is functioning. And this is where it gets really fascinating for the so what. The researchers suggest this heightened interoceptive awareness during pregnancy might actually be beneficial for something like maternal-fetal bonding by being more attuned to their own internal states and emotional signals. Pregnant individuals might be better equipped to understand and connect with their developing baby's needs. Imagine a mother feeling a tightening in her gut and interpreting it as a signal of something her baby might need. It's a powerful idea. It would also be incredibly interesting to see what happens after the baby arrives. Does this shift in conceptual grounding return to a pre-pregnancy baseline, or does the transformative experience of motherhood leave a lasting mark on how abstract concepts are represented? Longitudinal studies in the postpartum period could shed light on this. So, what does this all mean for us? This study beautifully illustrates that our minds aren't separate from our bodies. Pregnancy, a profound bodily transformation, actively reshapes how we connect with abstract ideas and even how we perceive concrete objects. It highlights that our understanding of the world is constantly being updated and influenced by our lived physical experiences. It's a powerful reminder that to truly understand ourselves and how we think, we have to consider the intricate dance between our minds and our bodies. What I love about this research is how it connects fundamental cognitive processes to a major life event. It shows that our brains are remarkably adaptive, flexing and shifting to accommodate significant biological changes, while more research is needed to fully understand the long-term implications and to connect these subjective ratings to objective measurements of bodily signals. This study provides a compelling glimpse into the dynamic, embodied nature of human thought. It really makes you think about how your own body shapes your own thoughts. I am curious to hear your thoughts on this. Do you feel your own bodily states influence how you think about abstract ideas? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into cognitive science, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to RUBIN'S Mind Lab, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next exploration into the fascinating world of the mind. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.